Hello there. I'm Christine Conrad, and you're watching or listening another episode of Innovative Tac-Tips, where I interview trailblazers, especially during Women's History Month. And I have Angelle Guillot. I did it right. Thank you. I always say that I'd be a horrible substitute teacher, so thank you for letting me have that opportunity. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited because I always love to pick your brain. And first question is, what do you do?
So currently, I am in telecommunications at Louisiana State University, or LSU. Go Tigers! Um, and day to day work just includes all of the phone stuff. And we are currently in a major project where we're rolling over from a legacy of PBX on an old Aura system. And we are moving over to Teams for the majority of campus. And then we have a small segment of folks that they're not employees of campus, but they are housed on campus that we're going to be deploying a smaller Avaya switch for them to be able to meet their needs for communications.
That sounds like a very heavy, not heavy, cumbersome project. Like
Yes.
I'm trying to use an adjective that's like a very, I don't know, it feels like that's a lot of moving parts where things could break, and that's not good when it comes to communications, especially from a education standpoint. So
Correct.
kudos to you for having that, like, just, I don't know, like, leadership to execute it, because I think that takes a lot of leadership skills and wisdom, etc. So I guess, to add to that, what makes your heart sing about it? What makes it, what gets you up in the morning to help tackle the big project?
So what makes us go all the time is just the people. The people on campus are wonderful. The people that I get to deal with on a daily basis are amazing. And then the networking outside of campus within the different communities we belong to are very welcoming and helpful. And then if you ever have questions, they're great resources. So you can use that network to
Mhm.
reach out whenever you have questions. We had an issue in some of this deployment where actually did make a phone call and called in a favor to a friend and was like, help, um, come show me what I'm missing, make sure I'm doing this right. And using that resource was vital to make sure that we're going to be successful.
So I have a question for you with that, because it's like a lot of moving parts, triaging, emergent. Like, it just, to me, it just, there's a lot of different systems that you're working with, and so I guess throughout your career, your profession, what has been your most memorable moment, or if there's just like a bunch and one just right away comes to mind?
So we want to go with good or bad.
I mean,
um,
all the above, I guess, right? Like, final answer.
so cool moments. I've gotten to assist the campus usually hosts what they call the governor's transition team. So in an electoral year where you elect a new governor, historically and traditionally, the governor will bring his transition team onto campus and they work with it, with the existing or the outgoing governor, I guess is what you call him,
Hmm.
and start making that transition to keep the state running smoothly. So when our previous governor got elected, we were part of getting all of the stuff ready for the transition team,
Hmm.
which meant a lot of long nights and a lot of crazy tasks and jumping through hoops, but it worked out pretty cool. You just got to be a part of that. And then another thing, we had some renovations done in the football facility. So I had to assist with moving all of their communication stuff over. Being a football fan, as you well know, I mean, that was just pretty awesome moment and getting to go fangirl for a little bit. with the trophy cases, yada, 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 and seeing the finished product when they moved back in. And just making sure all of that went smoothly for them was pretty cool moments in the career.
I will say going to an LSU game is on my top 10 list. So
We're going to make that happen.
I know that last season I wasn't able to attend one, but this upcoming one that's on my to like I think the atmosphere of what I've heard. I mean, obviously I haven't endured it yet, right? It's like I know this sounds maybe euphoric. Like it's you feel like you're in a whole different world. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, and so I think me being a football fan as well, I think when it comes to college football, it's just it's from your heart, and especially the SEC, it's like it. Anyways, I've fangirl all the way, even though technically. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing other LSU fans will tell you is for your first game, even if you're not an LSU fan, wear your team's jersey. Like, for whatever reason, it's just kind of a thing while you're tailgating. You wear, unless you're like another opposing SEC school, obviously. But
Yeah.
if you're coming from another part of the country, you got nothing to do with the game, wear your fans' jersey. And it's just kind of a thing. And they'll make sure you have a good time and
What about
feed
the
you.
Utes, though? What about the Utes? I feel like University of Utah is like an exception to that because I feel like didn't the former coach. Anyway, I don't know. I like again. I'm just history wise. I feel like I'd be safer if I wore a Utah State than a Utes jersey. Anyways, I mean, when I have to make that game time decision, I will. But that's good to know. I will definitely.
As
Can I
long
wear
as it's
diapers?
not gymnastics, I think you'll be fine wearing the Utah jersey.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Because they're
Yeah.
historically very good. We actually have two of their coaches now. And then we have also been recently very good. So I think you'll be all right as long as it's not gymnastics meet.
Good to know. I'm gonna write that down. Just make sure I will. Because you never know. You don't want to. That's not. Yeah. Well. So. Okay. What has been a favorite failure of yours, or parent failure that has led you to success in the long run?
Probably the beginning of this project. We were short staffed
Mm-hmm.
and um, I was basically trying to juggle it all. You just simply cannot do that. You cannot juggle a major project, daily tasks, troubleshooting, just regular everyday breakages. You cannot juggle all of those balls. It doesn't work. You're going to fail. And so what we did, we actually started streamlining things. I had at that point in time, so I'm juggling our current phone system, trying to get the project off the ground, um, troubleshooting, day to day, moving, adding, changing things,
Yeah.
etc. And information was coming to us from literally every direction, whether it be a phone call, email, Teams message, ticket. We have two different ticketing systems that we use. So we have our service desk ticketing and then we have our billing ticketing. So you see where that's going to set you up for failure. Getting all of that streamlined into one spot, funneling it down to where you can literally take your time and start your to-do list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and being able to scratch things off of that to-do list. That was how the failure of juggling it all and barely keeping my head afloat above the water.
Yeah.
That was how that set me up for better success because we did a lot more prioritizing, a lot more streamlining, a lot more delegating, getting things off the plate. And it really made the project go much more successfully.
Wow, I can't like I that's a lot of noise or just like
Correct. Oh yeah,
noise.
absolutely.
I'm guessing it's just like a bunch of
That's
just like static, like just in your face. You're just like, okay, everything's like, priority right now. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just it's a fight or flight thing too. You're like,
it's
because you just don't know.
literally standing against the wall and having a bunch of people throw water balloons at you. That
Oh
is the
man,
best analogy.
or dodgeball, right? Like that, like
Yeah,
not no wrenches, just dodgeballs.
right.
I know.
You against the whole team. I mean, that, yes, pretty much. That is what it's like. And you're doing the best you can with what you have and
Yeah.
trying to make it all work. But you just, at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. You have to get enough rest. If you're not prepared to go to the next day, you're not going to be able to be successful at anything. You have to have everything come at you from one direction, not a million directions. Making that able to where you can add to your to-do list, but you can also take away from it at the same time.
Mhm.
That's really important. And even having leadership, my boss actually, he's like, let me funnel things to you and I'll kind of divert things a little bit and try to shield you from the noise. Kind of didn't work out very well like we expected it to, because he realized that I was doing just fine juggling it all,
Mhm.
as long as I just kind of had a way to prioritize and had a minute to breathe and had things lined out. Like if you need something on a Thursday, well, we're going to mark my deadline on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then that way things got a little bit more spread out, or giving ourselves a couple weeks to process some of the aspects and the different tasks of the project
Mhm.
versus I need it right now. No, you're
Mhm.
going to get it in 2 weeks. I mean, and that made it to where we could take our time a little bit better and we could get things moving um, more efficiently and correctly, really, because there were mistakes being made. I mean, it was a whole lot of crazy, but it ended up making things a lot better long term once we did all that.
So with that, right, all of the learnings and stuff, what if you had a billboard that reached billions of people, what would you put on it?
I'd probably be more like those ambulance chasers where they've got a billboard every half mile. One would say, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
One would say, you are enough. And then another one would say, don't be scared. There's a quote, and I actually used it earlier today. And I think it's from Winnie the Pooh, surprisingly enough. But what if I fall? But my darling, what if you fly? You can't be scared. I mean, you're not going to know till you take that chance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you might fall out the tree, but you might also take off and soar like a bird. So I think those would be my few. Just because they are inherent in every aspect of your life. Give yourself some grace. You're gonna mess up, but
Yeah.
you can do it if you just keep trying.
Yeah.
You are enough. You got to know your value and what you bring to the table,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to use that value. Like, how do you make yourself an asset? Basically, you are
Yeah.
enough, though. And then don't be afraid.
It's crazy how fear can really hold us back when it comes to like following our dreams or our goals or anything that we want to accomplish. I think for me, I don't know if I was born like without. I mean, I have a little bit of fear, right? Like I don't want to touch a hot pan. Like that's definitely, that's not a good idea, but when it comes to like talking to people and asking questions, I think it's always good to ask those questions because at the end of the day, if your intentions are pure, right, genuine, I feel like why not ask the question? Why
Correct.
not? Why not? Like to your point, you told me the other day, the worst that can happen is you get a no.
Correct.
So
And no is usually, well, let me put it this way. No in industry doesn't have to be a hard no. It can be a not right now.
mm-hmm,
Be maybe not this door, but that one still got a crack in it.
mm-hmm,
Um, so in industry and careers, no is typically not a hard no. And then that's the worst that's going to happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I learned when I graduated college and got my first 100% sales commission job. That was like a roller coaster of emotions. Felt like I was like jumping on an airplane and being like, I can do this, I cannot do this, I can do that anyways. But I think for me, if someone is interested in hearing more of what you offer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they say no, I believe like that's not right now. Like I think initially it's with them, it's if they consider it a value, and obviously it goes back and forth, right? If you can portray your value in a way that's concise and receptive, I think you're going to be successful in any capacity of
Absolutely.
life. So, um,
Absolutely.
so when you feel overwhelmed, how do you regain focus?
Take a step back. Whether it's be taking a walk. So
Mhm.
on campus, we have an excellent dairy store, and it happens to be right across the street, and they make the best ice cream. So if it's a pretty day, we'll go take a walk and take a 5, 10 minute, 15-minute break and just sit outside and,
Touch
snack on
grass?
some ice cream and enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, or just if it's really bad, I'll take an afternoon off. I'll tell my boss, look, I'm done. I
Mhm.
cannot do this anymore today.
Mhm.
And I'll just leave early, with appropriate leave, obviously, but, take out, take a little time for myself, regroup, refocus, come back. The next day is a new day.
Mhm.
Um, and that's important to do that as well, especially when you're in a big project so that you don't get burnout. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing, I mean, you can do schedule you some me time. As a mama, I don't really have a whole lot of that, but pre-mama days, I used to schedule once a month. I would go get a massage, and that was my me time, and it gave me something to look forward to. Gave
Yeah.
me a time that I had 1 hour just to cut off from the world. No
Mhm.
phone, no noise, no anything going on. It was just me. And usually I got the best nap. So it was always pretty wonderful to have that. Other things people do, some friends go get their nails done, some friends go get their hair done. I
Mhm.
ain't got time for all that. But it is helpful to have that me time to just break up your routine, your the burnout, make
Yeah.
you feel refreshed and revived.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a joke like, what is it? Jesus has to fix it, or I'm gonna go to jail or something. Anyways, like when you hit a burnout, like you're not in this right frame of mind. And you're like,
Correct.
help me. Yeah, it's yeah. I like to make jokes, but sometimes they're obviously you know that. But
I get
so
it.
what's one thing that people who know you or don't know you don't know? Like, what's one thing that people aren't aware of? Or they like, how do I say this? Like, you know how whenever you like, they're like, what's one fun fact thing about you, right? What's one thing that people usually don't know about you? That's the question.
So professionally,
Mm-hmm.
um, most people don't realize that I was actually not in any kind of IT major in college and didn't get into it until about almost 10 years after graduating. Um, and then personally, we'll go back to football. Most people don't believe I know much about the sport as I do, especially whenever it comes to LSU football. I actually had somebody make a bet with me one time that they were right and I was wrong, and I said, "Look it up," and they did, and they got mad. They got mad and walked away because I made them look like a fool. But so those are two things, both professionally and personally, that do tend to surprise people.
That's funny. I there was a question where it's like, what if your friend saw you on the street arguing with someone? What would it be about? And usually, if like a lot of friends will say football for me, and I was like, that's right. Yep. That's right. That's the argument that I'm gonna continue the whole
So
argument.
true though.
You know, it's yeah, it's fun. So I guess last question I have, um, what's in the last 5 years? What's a new belief or let's say a habit that has improved your life?
Well, so my daughter is 5 years old, coincidentally.
Yeah.
So having her and having a tiny human to be responsible for has been a huge impact, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's been long nights, long days, but very short years. Um, it's so having her like completely, you had to get better. It's not just about you anymore. It's about somebody else too. Um, so that definitely kind of made my life do a 180. Prior to I was your average adult that would go to work every day and then on the weekends go do whatever they wanted to. Well, now you can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the biggest change in the last 5 years.
I mean, I think that's like the biggest
Change in
mean or
life.
love, right? I guess love, right? Like selfless, right? Putting something for, I think
Absolutely.
that's like the biggest thing when it comes to like what love means, right? Is like to have, to wish the ultimate best for an individual. And anyways, not to go down that waterworks trail, but, because we know that that can happen.
We know.
Yeah. So, where can people find more about you if they have more questions? Or I know you are a chapter leader for I'm not gonna a user group. You can. I'm not you. Yeah. You. I guess where can they find you? How can they contact you? Where are you going to be? Um, you're not Carmen San Diego, but like you're better. So where can they find
I
you?
mean, where's Waldo, right?
Yeah.
So I am on LinkedIn, and we are LSU is a member of the International Avaya Users Group or IAUG,
Hmm.
where I am the current chapter leader for Louisiana. We are trying to get that more off the ground and more get more attendance from our customers. So if you know an Avaya customer in Louisiana, send them my way. Um, but yeah, I other than that, I keep kind of low profile. You're not going to find a whole lot about me on like the LSU ITS website, but we just don't get into the weeds that deep.
Hmm.
So LinkedIn would be the best place to find me
Cool.
professionally.
Sounds good. And you're a big advocate for women in tech too. So
Correct.
um, if you have any questions about that, you can contact her. And she's a great resource. She's a great supporter. She's a strong woman. Anyways, talking about you in front of you, so like,
Yeah.
um, so yeah.
We also have a women in tech group with IAG, and I'm on that committee as well. So if you're an Avaya customer and you want to be part of that women in tech group, we'd love to have you. And if you're a champion of women, so boys too,
Hmm.
um, you can join as well and learn how to better ally yourself and champion your fellow coworkers that are female.
Awesome. Can I say who day, or is that? Can I say that like as an ending, or is that?
That's that's up
That's
in
just.
Cincinnati says who
Ah,
day.
but
Where who dat?
I'll get there one day. I'll get there. I'll get there. Sorry.
You need to come see me and we will teach you some things.
Okay. Well, thank you for your
Promise.
time, and I am
Absolutely.
excited to listeners to hear more about you and your background, and um, I'm excited to go to an LSU game. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Love to have you.